I see a lot of talk nowadays about physical media, specifically the necessity of it, because it preserves this content. Subscription-based services like Netflix or like Xbox Game Pass, they are not a guarantee to preserve this content. So therefore, physical media, well, it preserves it. It keeps it safe and secure. Now, that is definitely true, but I really have to say that subscription-based services, in my experience anyway, they really expose you to stuff that you otherwise wouldn't be exposed to. Like music, for example, I listen to music all the time just because I have Spotify, and otherwise I wouldn't be finding some of the music that I do end up stumbling across. Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, all those are also examples. You end up watching stuff you just otherwise wouldn't. And game subscription services, notably Xbox Game Pass, I have that, and it exposes me to a lot of games I otherwise wouldn't play, mainly indie games. Like the best example I can think of is Hollow Knight. I discovered that game about 2 years ago, and it is one of the best games I have ever played. If you've played it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The attention to detail is just so great for that game. But had it not been for, a game subscription service like Xbox Game Pass, I wouldn't have even known that it existed. And I certainly would not have paid money to buy it. But hey, with Game Pass, I gave it a shot and I loved it. And I really think this is the case for a lot of indie games. Platforms like the Xbox Game Pass, they have really done very good things for indie games. They've exposed them to audiences such as myself, who otherwise would not have found them, and as a result, a lot of these indie developers have really taken off. Hollow Knight is, of course, a great example. Team Cherry is now a huge developer, not so much in size, but in anticipation and critical acclaim, and a lot of that is due to Xbox Game Pass, and now the sequel for Hollow Knight is one of the most anticipated games of pretty much all time, but especially of this year. So yeah, all of that is to say, game subscription services, they just do very good things for indie games. And ever since COVID, with games doing very well, indie devs had great deals when it came to platforming their games onto these subscription-based services. But unfortunately, and you probably know this, the gaming industry has not been doing well in the past year. We've heard non-stop stories about layoffs in the video game industry, but what you might not have heard, and I didn't really hear about this until today, is that indie developers now do not have as good of deals to platform their games, their products onto these game subscription services. And as a result, it's not looking good for a lot of these developers right now. Definitely not saying it's the end of the world for them, but they have definitely seen better days. So recently there was the Game Developers Conference. Now during this, a lot of indie developers were interviewed, and there was some insight on exactly how they feel about their standings right now with these game subscription services. And to summarize, like I said, they're not feeling too good about their standings because they're just not getting a lot of good financial deals right now. One notable interview was with Chris Bourassa. He is with Red Hook Studios. They are an indie developer most known for making the game Darkest Dungeon, and Chris talked about how there has been a significant decrease in offers from both Microsoft and Epic Games to platform some of their games on their subscription-based services. Kind of the conclusion I got from the interview is that it seems like there is a lot more attention or leeway or opportunity for AAA game studios to platform their games right now on these services versus indie devs because of these financial struggles. It almost seems like it's kind of a sort of gatekeeping thing right now. That's obviously not to say that, Microsoft and Epic, they don't want to platform indie devs, but due to these deals being a lot pricier, it would seem, it is kind of like gatekeeping or just missed opportunities for the smaller companies. And of course, you can have whatever opinion you want of that. Some people might just say, hey, that's life. But I definitely love a lot of these indie devs. I know a lot of other people do too, so this is definitely not very good news. But as with the layoffs, I definitely think that this too will start to get better as we go on. Believe it or not, we're still kind of dealing with the dip of video game popularity post-COVID. A lot of people are saying it will straighten itself out over time, and I definitely agree. So hopefully very soon it'll start looking a lot better for indie devs once again. Because we all know that oftentimes very, very good games come from these indie developers that we would otherwise overlook if not for their availability on these platforms.